Senator Ted Cruz from the great state of California.
Well, Penny, thank you so very much. Thank you to Concerned Women of America for your incredible, passionate leadership. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.
You know, there is nothing more pressing right now than that Americans all across this country come together to stop this catastrophic Iran nuclear deal.
Yeah.
Right.
We want a peace president.
If this deal goes
we
through,
want a peace candidate.
you know,
We want diplomacy, not war.
you know, the interesting thing about free speech.
We want Ted! 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 We want Ted!
The interesting thing.
Ted! We want Ted! We want Ted!
Come on.
You know, it is very interesting to see those who profess to believe in free speech who are afraid of speech,
Yes!
who shout down, but your friends and colleagues are not. Your friends and colleagues are not.
That's what we don't like. Warmongering.
Standing here with peace
Well,
sign, that's all.
Well,
You're registered as Iranian agents yet?
look, hold on a second. All right, sir, come forward. Come here, sir. You want to be a part of the discussion? Come on. Hold on a second. This code pink gentleman. Sir, you want to yell and scream, come forward. Come on up. Come forward, sir. Come on. Back and forth. All right, you want to, someone, all right. Will your colleagues be quiet while you come forward? Will you ask your colleagues to be quiet?
Let her talk. Senator, she can talk.
I'm happy. Who wants to come forward?
No, Medea.
Here. We can have a discussion if we actually have a discussion without being shouted down. Now let me say, if this deal goes through, three things will happen. Number one, over $100 billion. Number one, over $100 billion will flow to Iran that they will use to fund Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and radical Islamic terrorists. Those billions of dollars will be used to fund jihadists that will murder Americans, that will murder Israelis, that will murder Europeans. Does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't make any sense, because the only way that we're going to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, if indeed they're trying to get one, is to have this deal. That's not just what President Obama and John Kerry are saying. That's what the British are saying, the French are saying, the Chinese are saying, the Russians are saying, the Australians are saying, New Zealand is saying, Jordan is saying. In fact, it passed unanimously through the Security Council. So the entire world is saying this is the best deal that we're going to get to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, to bring about a peaceful settlement of this problem. And what makes you think, as Ted Cruz, you know better than all of these countries together? You don't. What you have been pushing for is going to lead us to war. The American people, and I would think even these concerned women, don't want another war in the Middle East.
That's right.
What we want is peace in the Middle East. Diplomacy, just like we saw the flag go up in the Cuban embassy, that's diplomacy at work. 54 years of not talking to each other doesn't help. Just like with Iran, we need dialogue. If we get dialogue with Iran,
Only the Senate can filibuster.
Okay. So let's. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, and I respect your right to speak.
And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
Absolutely, but let's have some dialogue. So one of the things you said is if Iran is trying to get nuclear weapons. Well, the nice thing is I think in debates truth matters.
Yes.
And you know, one entity, one person with whom there is no ambiguity in terms of whether Iran wants nuclear weapons is the Ayatollah Khamenei, is President Rouhani, both of whom explicitly say they are developing nuclear weapons. There is no doubt about it.
Absolutely false. They say that there's a fatwa against nuclear weapons and that they're developing nuclear energy. But I don't trust them.
I did not interrupt you.
I refuse, John Kerry. Don't trust, verify.
Ma'am, I did not interrupt you. I did not interrupt you, so I would ask you to show me the same courtesy. If you look at number one, I would note you did not respond to the irrefutable point that this deal will send over $100 billion to Iran, and those billions of dollars will be used to murder Americans by jihadists. You didn't respond to that. And let me make a second point. I recognize the folks in Coat Pink like to hold up signs saying peace with Iran. Do you know who doesn't reciprocate those views? Iran. Ma'am, let me finish and I'll let you speak.
Not true.
In the midst of this negotiation, the Ayatollah Khamenei led thousands of Iranians in chanting death to America while they burned American flags and Israeli flags. The Ayatollah Khamenei is not remotely hiding. There is a reason he calls Israel the little Satan and America the great Satan. Because Iran has stated its objective to murder as many Americans as possible. They are not seeking peace with us. And indeed, President Rouhani was quite candid. If you want to know what this Iranian deal is, listen to President Rouhani of Iran that says, we have gotten everything we wanted out of this deal. This deal is a complete capitulation by President Obama to radical Islamic theocratic zealots who want to murder millions of Americans.
Well said. Can I respond? Just like there are radical religious zealots right here in the United States, and I think we're surrounded by some of them here, who would rather see a war in the Middle East. So there are radical
Please, let's be respectful. Let's be
there are
respectful.
radical religious zealots in Iran, but that is not what Rouhani represents. Rouhani represents a moderate faction, and the majority of people in Iran, just like the majority of Americans, want to see this deal go through. We as people are desperate for peace. We think this nuclear deal is a good thing for peace. It's the radical religious zealots on both sides that don't want the deal.
Okay, ma'am, I would ask you, please. I would.
What planet is she from?
Okay, listen. Let's all be respectful, but ma'am, I would also ask that you demonstrate respect for the people here. And insulting people here and calling them radical religious zealots is not. We are not insulting you. I would ask that you show the same respect. I will say, is it true that there are radical religious zealots elsewhere? Of course. The difference is nobody is proposing giving radical religious zealots nuclear weapons to use to annihilate anyone who has a different faith than they do. Rouhani is not the power in Iran. It is the Ayatollah Khamenei who has pledged death to America. In fact, let me tell you about 2 days, 2 holidays they celebrate in Iran. In America, we have holidays. We have the 4th of July, we have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas. Just about 2 weeks ago, in Iran, they celebrated a day called Al-Quds Day. Al-Quds Day is known in Iran also as Death to Israel Day. It is when they come together and chant that they seek to annihilate the nation of Israel. Then there's another day they celebrate. It is called Death to America Day. Death to America Day is the anniversary of Iran seizing Americans hostage in the late 1970s. On Death to America Day, every day, thousands of Iranians come together, they burn American flags, and they chant Death to America. I believe in peace. I believe in peace through strength. And sir, we brought forward someone from your group. Please be respectful and have a conversation instead of trying to shout down views that you're unable or unwilling to respond to. I believe in peace through strength. If history teaches anything, it is that weakness and appeasement only invites war. There was a time when Neville Chamberlain came back from Munich and said, we have peace for our time, with another lunatic, homicidal maniac. And that resulted in millions losing their life. Let me tell you, Barack Obama's weakness and appeasement of the Ayatollah Khamenei increases the likelihood that millions of Americans, millions of Europeans, millions of Israelis may die. The best way to avoid military conflict is peace through strength. And it's worth remembering, the last time we had a week ineffective president in the White House, Jimmy Carter. The last time we had a president who let American hostages languish in Iran, just like the 4 hostages who are there right now, Pastor Saeed Abedini, Amir Hekmati.
Come on, let's move on.
Sir, you're welcome to come up and speak.
You're just bringing up old stuff.
Come on
Let's
up,
talk
sir.
about the nuke deal.
Come on up, sir. Sir, are you? Please let him come through. Sir, are you scared to have a conversation? Are you
No,
scared of the
absolutely
truth?
not. It's just, why are we rehashing old history?
Well,
We all know this history.
If we were going to rehash old history, I would talk about the overthrow of economics.
Well, why don't you have a rally and go talk about
Yes,
that?
let's talk about the overthrow of
our
the
rally.
legitimately elected Iranian regime in 1953. Let's not go there. Let's talk about what we need to know today, Senator Cruz. I do respect you coming out here. I do respect listening. I do listen to you. I'm very curious as to your views. But this the vitriol, the rhetoric, the going back over past history doesn't help us right now. What we need to know right now is how are we going to get to this point where we're assured that everyone feels safe and comfortable, not with threats of they're going to kill us all stuff. Let's just figure this out so we can make it work.
And sir, I will respond to you now. And this is how civilized people have discourses. They don't yell and interrupt each other.
Agreed.
I heard you out. Now I'm going to respond. You said, why should we discuss history? Well, there's an old adage, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. The last ineffective, weak president we had, Jimmy Carter, wrung his hands in impotence while our hostages languished in Iran. This president, like Jimmy Carter, is leaving 4 American hostages in Iran. I would ask people to look at their faces, and please don't block these men who are suffering. Pastor Saeed, sir, I didn't interrupt you. Sir, I didn't interrupt you. Please show some modicum of respect. 4 American hostages. Pastor Saeed Abedini. 1,091 days. He is a Christian pastor. He's an American citizen. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison for sharing his Christian faith. Amir Hekmati, sir, I recognize that you find the truth very offensive, but under the First Amendment, debate means you have to listen to things you disagree with, and I have listened to what you have said. I would ask you to show the same courtesy, particularly since you have come to our event and crashed it. We have shown you respect and civility. Sure you are.
I'm not. I'm an independent computer scientist.
Well, okay, well, then I ask you to show the same respect as Code Pink, which is a request I would make. Sir, Amir Hekmati, who's an American Marine, 1,425 days in an Iranian hellhole. Jason Rezian, 367 days, a Washington Post reporter to our friends from the media. This president is leaving a reporter in an Iranian prison while doing nothing. And Robert Levinson, 3,059 days, we don't know his whereabouts. How do you actually get something done to change it? It is worth remembering in terms of peace. I want peace, I assure you, ma'am, every bit as much as you do, but I don't want peace at the price of millions of Americans being murdered. And it is worth remembering that Iran released our hostages in 1981, the day Ronald Reagan was sworn in. If you want peace, peace through strength yields peace. The Iraq War was a mistake.
That's right.
It was based on false intelligence. I have said that publicly.
That's Bush's work.
I was not serving in Congress at that time. I did not have the opportunity to cast a vote on it. What I can tell you is it is a catastrophic mistake to send over $100 billion to a radical, theocratic regime that will send much of that money to radical Islamic terrorists who will murder American citizens. President Obama should be prepared to look in the eyes of the mothers and fathers whose children will be murdered using the dollars that this administration is selling to jihadists. Without exaggeration, Ma'am, you said if we brought our troops home, they wouldn't be there. There are no troops in Iran. If this deal goes through, without exaggeration, the Obama administration will become the world's leading state sponsor and financier of radical Islamic terrorism. And I would encourage our friends from Code Pink.
This lady is pushing me.
Folks, you stop. Folks, let's not.
That's good. Thank you, ma'am.
Let's continue in civil discourse, please. I would encourage our friends from Code Pink to do what they suggested they didn't want to do, which is learn from history. Munich in 1938, they may well too have been holding up banners saying, "We want peace with Nazi Germany." You cannot have peace with a lunatic zealot who wants to murder you. And if you do not believe me, listen to the words of Ayatollah Khamenei. In the middle of negotiating this deal, he is leading chants of death to America. Nobody who has any sense of reason would want to allow theocratic zealots who have declared jihad on America to acquire nuclear weapons, the tools that could murder millions of Americans in the flash of an eye. And I will point out also when it please don't hold the mic next to my head.
I'm trying, Senator Cruz, really.
Let me point out also. For anyone who wants to see peace, we're all going to have peaceful conversation, but hopefully not poke people with our signs. For anyone who wants to see peace, we had in place an international regime of sanctions. That was not military conflict. The sanctions were having a crippling effect on the Iranian economy. Let me tell you what the consequences of this deal are if it goes through. President Obama will have succeeded in unraveling the international consensus for sanctions. The next president will enter the White House in January of 2017. In all likelihood, he or she will be told in January 2017, Iran is on the verge of acquiring nuclear weapons. Because President Obama has convinced our allies, has unraveled the consensus for sanctions, a peaceful means, have been taken off the table. And as a practical matter, even if you wanted to reinstate sanctions, it would take months or even years, if ever, to rebuild the international consensus. That means in all likelihood the next president is going to be faced with a binary choice. Either acquiesce in Iran's acquiring nuclear weapons and risk allowing the annihilation of millions of Americans, or take direct military force to prevent it. This deal dramatically increases the chance of military conflict in Iran because it is giving away the most potent, non-violent measure to constrain Iran, which is sanctions. If you give Iran over $100 billion to develop nuclear weapons, we're endangering the safety and security, number one, of the nation of Israel, but number two, of millions of Americans across this country.
And trade with Iran, and the international consensus is broken if we don't do this deal.
Okay, so let's actually take that point substantively. Go ahead. You are right that based on the damage that President Obama and Hillary Clinton and John Kerry have done, that in all likelihood Russia and China will relax sanctions regardless. I agree. They've done an enormous amount of damage doing that. That being said, it is the American sanctions that have the most disparate impact on Iran, the most significant deterrent. And I'll point out, let's talk about the incoherence of the Obama administration's arguments. They've put in place in this deal an incredibly weak inspection regime. An inspection regime that effectively gives Iran 24 days notice before inspecting a site. By the way, I would ask you to think about that in the domestic law enforcement context. Imagine if we passed a law that said any drug lord, before you execute a search warrant on their premises, gets 24 days notice. I guarantee you 100% of the inspections of that drug lord, you'd never find drugs. That's what we've set up with Iran. But here's the interesting point. The Obama administration's argument as to why Iran won't cheat and use this $100 billion to develop nuclear weapons is they say this deal has a snapback provision where the U.S. sanctions unilaterally would be reimposed. Well, the interesting thing is they can't have it both ways. If the snapback has any force, then leaving the U.S. sanctions in place has force on the front end. And at the end of the day, no one in their right mind would want to give billions of dollars to jihadists who are trying to murder Americans. We could see another 9/11.
Is Iran supporting Al-Qaeda or ISIL?
No, Iran is supporting Hamas, Hezbollah.
Is Saudi Arabia supporting Al-Qaeda and ISIL?
Ma'am, you are preaching to the choir. Should we stop supporting any regime that supports radical Islamic terrorists? Yes. And I oppose radical Islamic terrorists, be they Sunni or Shiite. We should not. Here is a simple principle on which you and I agree. We should not be giving weapons to people who hate us and want to kill us. The Obama administration just negotiated a deal. Code Pink says you're peace protesters. The Obama administration just negotiated a deal to lift the arms embargo on Iran, to ship in massive arms to Iran, to ship in the materials for ballistic missiles to Iran. By the way, why is Iran developing ICBM? You don't need an ICBM to get to Israel. You only need an ICBM. The entire purpose of an ICBM is to carry a nuclear warhead across the Atlantic to the United States of America. What I am calling on the American people for is to rise up and say, we should defend the interest of the United States of America, and signing a deal that sends billions of dollars to jihadists that want to murder us, that facilitates and accelerates Iran's acquiring nuclear weapons to murder us, and that abandons 4 American hostages in Iran, is profoundly dangerous. And I call upon the American people to speak out and to light up the phones to your members of Congress. And let me make one final point. For every Democratic member of Congress, in your tenure representing your constituents, there is no decision you will make that is more important than this decision right now. There was a time,
Just like the Iraq War.
there was a time when you had a tradition of Scoop Jackson Democrats, of Joe Lieberman Democrats, of John F. Kennedy Democrats. There was a time when Democrats believed in defending national security and standing up to our enemies. What I would call on every Democrat, you have a choice to make. You can choose to defend the national security of this country. You can choose to stand with our friend and ally, the nation of Israel. You can choose to protect the health and safety of millions of Americans from a professed zealot who says he wants to murder us. Or you can choose partisan loyalty with the Obama White House. It is my hope that every one of us puts the interest of the men and women we were elected to represent above partisan loyalty, that we support peace through strength, and we stop this catastrophic deal, and we bring home our American hostages who have